Hello friends, in this video I will be talking about Python dictionary much in detail, and I'm sure this is going to help you out a lot. So as you can see over here, I have written few functions and it will start with the main function. So let me open the main function, and as you can see I have created one dictionary over here by the name called student underscore dic, and then I have got an infinite while loop. I'm giving a call to the menu function, so let's move on to the menu. So here it is. What the menu function is supposed to do, it would print this entire statement, and let me run the code as well so that you get to see what I'm doing simultaneously. So right now the control is inside the menu function. It's printed these 4 lines of statement. It is waiting for the user to take an input. Now here is a word of cautious. When you are working on taking input in Python or any programming language, be very sure what if the user enters the wrong input. I mean the data type is not actually correct. In that case, how your system is going to handle that measure you have to take, because you are developing the app for an end user and maybe the person is not technically acquainted. So for that reason, what precaution you are taking is very important. Like for example, I'm supposed to enter a number over here because these is a choice I've given 1 2 3 4. But what if I land up with an alphabet, suppose the letter D, which I'm not supposed to take? In that case, it would give me an invalid message that the data is not valid, and the menu option comes back once again. So this is done with the help of exception handling, and that is what the try except block is meant for. Now this is what I was referring, that if your system or if your code is not taking care about this, in that case the system would crash. I mean your program will just shut down. But that is not what we want, because it would give a very bad user experience. So for that reason, I've gone for try catch. It is asking the user to enter this particular. Over here I've given like an options that it would be in the range of 1 2 3 4. So I'm expecting my choice should be within this particular range, because it can even happen that I have given the number but as input, but that number is not within the range. Suppose I come up with a number called 40. Well, this is not at all a valid input. In that case, again the message needs to be modified, because this time your data type is correct but it's not within the given range. So for that reason the else part is working. So here you have mentioned, or I'm mentioning the expected input, what I am expecting the users to provide so that the program can work on smoothly. So when I'm giving a choice of 1 2 3 4, and that is getting stored in the choice variable, then we are going to return the value. So let's go with the choice of 1, because 1 would allow me to insert a new record. So as I provide 1, and the moment I will hit enter, see, this is going to return. So other way around, I can say that the function menu function is returning a number, and that is called end. And that's the reason I wrote over here end. So when you're writing a function, it is good practice that you even check whether the function returning a value or not. If it is so, then you write it in this format. Many times you don't write it. In spite of that, the program will work, but that's not the right way of maintaining the protocol. So for that reason, it's good practice you write the data type over here, and now I hit enter. So this 1 will come back. Let me close this one. The 1 will come back over to the choice, and then it will just check whether this condition is true or not, and in fact it is true. Then it is going to give a call to a function called add student, and that's where we will be landing up, and we'll be passing the dictionary, which is currently empty right now because it's the first time I'm inserting a record. So that dictionary will be forwarded inside this particular function right over here, and we'll explore this. But before that, let me hit the enter over here. And as I do that, now say it's asking me into the student name, so that means the control directly came down to this particular function, and it is exactly standing inside this loop. I mean inside this loop. But before that, let me explore a few more things. So right now the dictionary which I have passed over here, that is in the form of parameter, and I want to check the length of that parameter, and for that reason I've given a call to the length. So by default this is an empty dictionary, so it would have a length of 0. But what I want to do is that I want to go for 0 plus 1, and that becomes the ID. So each record that I'm inserting into my dictionary, I want to maintain one ID. Okay, that ID would be the unique ID for that entire dictionary set. So that's the reason I'm doing this, and that is all happening behind the scene. User has got no idea that it is calculating the ID in this fashion. Now here I'm writing a while loop, and that is an infinite while loop. Now you might be expecting why I'm writing infinite while loop, where I'm supposed to take only one student record. Yes, that is again I'm taking a measure in context to the data input part, and you need to be very careful about it. Here I'm expecting that the student's name should be given, but what if I give up something like this 1122? This can also be happening, right? The user can give anything of the user choice, and the moment I hit the enter, this would come into the name part, and now I'm going for again the verification whether the input which I have provided is correct or not, and it is not at all correct. So how am I doing this? The moment it comes to the if statement, this is very important part of the statement. Please take a minded note over here. I can come up with a single number also. I can come up with a set of number having a space in between, right? And imagine if I have given some word like this, so that I need to split, and that would be split in the form of an array. So imagine in this case I've given 11, so that 11 would be right over here, and the 22 would be right over here, because I have gone for part in name.split. So how exactly it works? It works on the right hand side rather than from the left hand side. It will start with the name. Name is the content, and right now the name I have given 11 space 22. That need to be splitted, and once you split that, your part is in the form of an array where 11 would be a 0 index and 22 at 1 index, and then it is coming to is alpha. I'm checking that is alpha is on alphabet or not, and I have to do it for all. For all means there are multiple data over here, right? There's a 0 index is there, 1 index is there. For that reason all is there, and each all part I'm checking whether it's an alphabet or not, and in this case it is non-alphabet, so the statement just simply terminates. And if it is, had that been so, if it is true, if I would have given a correct statement like this for Shah, then it would have terminated, but in this case it is failing, right? It is not a number, so in that case it comes to the else part, and it is showing me this particular statement. This is something which you have to take a care, because it's not about writing a program, but at the same time you need to take a precaution. What would your program behave if the input is not a correct format? So again, suppose if I'm writing my name as Swaroop, and I give a space, and then I write suppose 1 2 3, then also the same thing should need to happen, because the first part is correct, the 0th index is correct, but the 1 index is not correct. So that's the reason this precaution is taking place. But if I give my name as Swaroop space Shah, then there's no problem, because both the parts are correct, and it will move to the next while loop. And here it comes, see, it comes to the next while loop. So this is the measure which you need to take care when you're taking input from the user, right? And it is not about only one input, there can be multiple inputs, so every input you have to be very careful. Like when you are working on the next input where I'm supposed to enter a mark, and this time it should be numeric value, not string, right? So over here again the same thing comes up. What I'm doing is I'm going for a try catch block, and here I'm taking the user input and I'm storing into the variable called Java. Now I want to set a condition that the input the data that the user is going to give, the Java value should not be less than 0, neither it should be greater than 100. It should be within this particular range from 1 to 100. It should be the range. So for that reason I've given the condition this way, that the Java value should not be less than 0, and it should not be greater than 100. That's the thing I've given. So what if I give some word like this? Suppose I give 101, which is not falling in this particular range, so it would come to the else part and would say that it would be in between this particular range, and here it comes, 0 and 100. So over here, see, again the input part is taking place, and the value range, the value is within the range or not, that I'm checking. Oh, by the way, I didn't show you what if the user gives a string input. Well, for that reason the value error is there, that what it will take the measure. So I have performed over here both the validation. First it will be checking whether the data type is correct or not, and if it is so, then you move forward, and if it is not so, in that case you restrict the program and you ask the user to enter the input once again. And if the input is a valid data type, then you check whether the data is falling within the range or not, because if it is above the range, then it makes no sense. So for that reason this exception handling has to be taken clear in this fashion only. Okay, so in this way you should continue even for other input also. Like I have one more input over here for Python, but this time I'm not doing it because it would make the program a bit lengthy, so I'm just writing it in a regular fashion, and I hope you understood how to handle this thing for case of Python as well. Okay, so the Java part, now let me give a value of 20. Okay, that's great. And the Python, I'm giving a value of suppose 23, and I hit the enter. Now when I hit the enter, something interesting is going to take place over here. The Java value is 20 and the Python value is 23, so 20 plus 23 is 43. That would get stored inside the total, right? And now what I'm doing here, I'm creating a dictionary. Please take a very careful note over here. How am I taking the dictionary? That is very important, because the dictionary means you need to have a key value pair. So here I'm creating my ID, which just got generated because of this line, as a key over here. The student underscore dict is the key over here. This is the important part of the story, and this is need to be very carefully understandable. So over here I have to I'm inserting the ID over here, which is going to be it will keep on changing as I add the record, because over here the length will come up, right? Initially it was 0, then 0 plus 1 is 1 that I got over here. So that would be the key. Next time if I give a call to the student, add student once again, at that point of the length would be 1. So 1 plus 1 would be 2. So the ID would be 2 in that case. Again, if I give a call, the length would be 2. So 2 plus 1 would be 3. And this time the ID is 3. So under all circumstances, ID is going to be unique. And the ID would contain you can see over here in the form of an object. So inside the dictionary, I'm not just storing one record, but I'm storing a collection of record, where 3 record I'm taking user input, and 1 it is getting generated automatically via this calculation. So eventually what happens, name is taken in, this is the value, this is the key, this is the value, this is the key, this is the value, this is the key. So these 3 cases, I have taken the input from the user, maintaining the proper standards, and then this is the total that gets generated, and it gets stored inside this total variable, right? So as I hit the enter, I would be seeing the message called record added successfully, and you are back to the menu function. So from here the data would come back to the menu, and here you are right now. That's the reason you are seeing the menu once again. This is what I wanted to do, is that I want to perform the operation multiple number of times. So let's go and add one more record before we go to the display part. Okay, so I will press 1 once again. It is asking for the student to enter. Suppose the name of the student is Peter Parker, and I hit the enter. The mark of the student is suppose is 25, and the Python here has got 26, and I hit the enter. Okay, that record also got added successfully. Now I want to show you what is the how the display function is going to work. That I want to show you. So for that reason, I will hit the enter. I will give the value 2 first, and then I will hit the enter, and that brings us to the display function. Let me come to the display function over here, and let me show you how am I going to display the record. So as I hit the enter, you would be seeing that I have got a list where the ID is 1. This is the name of the student, and this is the value what the student has obtained. And oh, I forgot to print the total also. The same thing I can do it for over here. I can repeat this particular statement for the total also. I will explain this part, don't worry. And I have a ID2, and this is the student record for the ID2, right? Everything has been shown correctly as I have given the input. In whatever input I have given, accordingly the data is coming. So let me now make you understand how it is working, because this is very important thing. So I have to pass the dictionary once again, because I have declared the dictionary inside the main function. So naturally I need to pass the dictionary every time to different function, then only it will be operating. Keep it in mind that this dictionary I've declared over here as a local variable. I could have gone for the global as well, but in this case I follow the local path. As a reason I need to pass it as a parameter for each of the function. Had this been global, in that case I don't need to pass it in this fashion. Okay, so nonetheless, let's come over here, and here is my dictionary, and I'm checking that if dictionary has got any record or not. Of course the dictionary is not empty, so this part will not work. Let's come to the else part, and here I'm printing the less, and this is very interesting. Look at the way it's working. What does this item function would do? The item function return one single tuple. It would return. And if let me show you. Suppose I have gone for this print, then after that I would print this one. Okay, meanwhile I will run the code once again. So let's better I can print in the total also. Why will I leave the total part? And here it comes. I will go for the total as well. So what I'm going to do is that I'm putting a comment statement to this, and I'm just uncommenting this line to show you initially that how exactly it would look like. Remember, this part is also there. So let me terminate from the program by pressing value 4. My program terminates over here. Let me clear the screen so that I can rerun the program once again, and here it comes. I will go for 1. I will be doing it very fast this time. Suppose the name is Ravi Roy, and I hit the enter, and the mark is suppose 10 and 12. This is the first student. Let's go for one more student, that is called Suzanne Sen, and I hit the enter. The marks is 20, and the person has got 23. Now let's come to the display part, and this time you will see something very interesting, and that is what I was saying, that when I go for the item, it will return me one single tuple. Yes, you rightly heard. In this program I'm going to talk even about the tuple also. So it's a combination of both dictionary and tuple, and that's how the real world projects are all about, where you mix different data types to work for a particular application. So item is going to return one single tuple that is present inside the entire dictionary. So this is the first tuple which you are getting, and this tuple is present inside the detail, right? The next time when it will print, it will pick up the second tuple and then it will store inside the detail. So let's first explore how the first tuple is working. So once I put it over here, I'm trying to say why I give this value 0, why I've given this 1, you need to understand. So once I put this value, once the item would put this tuple over here, now what you are going to see, look at this tuple very minutely. Inside this tuple you will find that there is a 1, that is the ID, right? And then there is an entire dictionary. The index of this tuple, the index of this particular value is 0, right? Because this is one complete tuple. So index of this particular value is 0 and the index of this entire dictionary is 1. So how do I access this? Suppose if I want to print the ID, so in that case I have to go for detail within third bracket 0. So that would target to this particular index. And if I have to explore the individual part of this entire dictionary, then I have to target first. I have to say that the index of this position is 1. That's the reason I wrote over here. Now within that 1 there are 4 keys are over here: name, Java, Python, and total. Which particular key you are targeting? So that again you have to wrap up in the third bracket with the string. Since it's a string within the quotation, you put up. So I suppose I just want to print only the name. In that case, I will just go with this one. So suppose if I want to say that I will not print all the details, I will simply print the name and the ID. In that case, you will just put the index of this particular position, that is 0. So I wrote over here 0. Now I'm targeting this. First of all, I'm targeting this entire dictionary. For that reason I wrote 1. Now inside this entire dictionary I am targeting specifically to this particular field that is called name. So for that reason I wrote the name over here. Sound interesting, right? And that's how it's getting printed. So quickly let me run one more time to show you the difference what I've just now said. So let me clear the screen once again and let me explore the program. 1 is John Carter. Okay, and the person has got 10 and 20. So let me display the record now. So if I go for 2, see over here, this is what I was saying. So this is entirely, this print statement is working. For that we are seeing the entire tuple, and now I just want to show you the ID. So for that reason, see, ID is 1. Exactly, the ID of this particular tuple is 1. So that's the reason you're putting the, and I already told you the 0 because you're targeting this particular index, and that's the reason you're seeing 0. And when you're targeting the name, this entire portion is present inside the index called this was 0, this was 1. So inside this 1, I'm targeting specifically to this particular field called name. So that's the reason I wrote the name over here, and you're able to see John Carter over here. In this way you can explore more, and you can move on. Well, already the video is becoming very lengthy. Well, I don't want to continue further, and in my next video I'll be talking more about the search of the student, because this is really going to be more interesting. And what was my thought process of making this video is that I want to take you to the in-depth part of the dictionary, and I want to show you then how you can store multiple data within the dictionary, and at the same time coming back to the exception handling part. Please take a measure of when you're taking input from the user. Don't trust the user input. You have to verify, you have to counter verify to see if everything is perfectly fine or not. Okay, so that's all from this video presentation. In the next video I will be continuing with the search student, and if required I will add few more functionalities further. Okay, until then, have a nice time. Bye bye, take care.